Good morning, boys and girls. We are going to be doing our listening and learning domain lesson 8 today. And we'll be learning about a different animal group than what we have studied so far. So far, we have learned about fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds. So think about which groups of vertebrates are cold-blooded. Are fish cold-blooded? Yes. Are amphibians cold-blooded? Yes. Are reptiles cold-blooded? Yes. Are birds cold-blooded? No. So all of these groups are vertebrates. Most of them are cold-blooded. Birds are warm-blooded. And then all of these animal groups have laid eggs, even though some of their eggs are different. Okay, some have to be, are just sort of jelly covered. Some are hard covered. So last time we learned about birds, and we learned that they are warm-blooded, which means that unlike reptiles, birds need to eat frequently in order to maintain a high metabolism. Remember, metabolism is how animals get their energy from food. But like reptiles, birds lay eggs, and there are no pattern breakers as far as laying eggs. All birds lay eggs. Okay. So today we're going to learn about another group, and let's go ahead and scroll down and take a peek at that. Let's see. I see some birds there, but I also see Hilda Hippo. And let's see what Rattenborough has to say today. Well, boys and girls, it's me, Rattenborough, back again. Today we're going to talk about a group of animals that you already know a little bit about based on your own personal experience. Hilda Hippo is one of these, and I am one of these. Remember our mnemonic? All my best friends represent vertebrates. Say that with me. All my best friends represent vertebrates. That's right. All amphibians. My mammals. Best birds. Friends. You have it? Fish represent reptiles, vertebrates. All of them are vertebrates. Okay, that's why we can group all of these animals together. But the only one that we have not talked about yet is the letter M in the word my, which stands for mammals. Guess what? You are mammals too. Who can name some characteristics of mammals? In what ways are you like Hilda and me? Remember, this is Rattenborough talking. What keen observations you make. To observe means to look very closely at something. And if you are a keen observer, you are looking very carefully with sharp eyes. Mammals are warm-blooded vertebrates with hair. I think you could help me teach this lesson. Let's begin with the name of this group, mammals. It comes from the Latin word mammalia. The word mammalia refers to a group of animals who possess mammary glands. Mammary glands are milk-producing organs belonging to female mammals. When female mammals give birth, they secrete a nourishing substance, milk, to feed their young. That is one of the primary characteristics of mammals. We feed our young milk. That's right. Rats drink mother's milk. Hippopotami drink mother's milk, and so do humans. The mother's milk has all the nutrient that a baby needs. Oh, look how cute. How wonderful is that? A baby rat that has its mother nearby never has to raid or charge through garbage cans for food. He can stay inside where it's warm, enjoy a lovely liquid meal prepared by his mother's own body. Aw, looking at this slide makes me a little sad when I think back on the days when my mom always had a warm meal ready for me. before the days when I became an adult and now have to hunt, sometimes for long, grueling days, just to find a scrap or a, oops, excuse me, students. I just got lost in a lovely memory from my childhood. Please forgive me, and we'll get back to my slides about mammals. After all, the show must go on. Mammals have backbones. Reach around and check out your back once more to make sure your backbone is still there. Of course it is. Without backbones, we wouldn't be able to sit up straight or hold our heads in the air. And our spinal cords that house the nerves that send messages to our brains would be unprotected. So, because we all have backbones, scientists call us what? That's right, vertebrates. Reptiles, amphibians, and fish all have relatively low metabolism and, as you have learned, are classified as cold-blooded animals. Like birds, mammals such as this horse have a high metabolism, burning lots of energy to help them maintain a constant internal body temperature. Let me read that again. High metabolism equals burning lots of energy to help them maintain a constant internal body temperature. What is the term that taxonomists use to classify mammals in terms of body temperature? We are all warm-blooded. Some of you were right when you said that mammals are covered in hair or fur. Some of us are hairier than others. Hilda hippo and other hippopotamuses don't look so hairy, do they? But you might remember that they do have a little bit of hair around their mouths and on the tip of their ears and tails. Let's take a look at a few of our furrier friends. Do you see this? He's looking through binoculars, and you can see along here you've got some hair, and you can even see a tiny bit up here on ears. But they're not super hairy. Here's one of my favorite animals. I love his stately long neck and envy his ability to reach high into trees to eat leaves and to see into the distance. I'll bet that if I were as tall as a giraffe, I could spot my enemies more quickly. Does anyone know what this other animal is? It's a yak. Yak need their shaggy hair and dense wool undercoats to help keep them warm on the cold Tibetan plateau where they live. Tibet is in Central Asia. Ooh, beautiful. Tigers and leopards have fur too. Look at this Bengal tiger and this beautiful snow leopard of Central Asia. Both of these cat species are on the list of endangered species, a list of animals whose numbers have dwindled due to the loss of habitat and overhunting. Furry bears come in all shapes and sizes and live in all different parts of the world. Look at this giant panda. It has many characteristics found among different kinds of bears: polar bears, black bears, grizzly bears, and sun bears. The giant panda is a good example of an animal which has proven challenging to classify. Taxonomists have actually changed their minds about which animal it is most closely related to. They used to classify the giant panda with the red panda in a group that includes raccoons. But now, with the help of more modern scientific tools, taxonomists believe that the giant panda is more closely related to bears, even though it eats mostly bamboo. So it's tough to classify, and scientists, depending on how much they learn about these animals, are just not quite sure the best way to classify the panda. Does anybody know what this is? This little guy? He's a marmot, and he's a type of squirrel. And here's another type of squirrel, a flying squirrel. These squirrels don't really fly, but they do have 2 folds of skin on the sides of their bodies that let them take great leaps and glide through the air with the help of their tails for steering. The only mammals that can truly fly are bats. They have skin between their long fingers that stretch out, turning arms into wings when they open out. Bats may seem like birds, but they're not because they have no feathers. They actually have a fine fur, and bats give birth to live young. I think you'll recognize these more common mammals, and I'll bet some of you have furry mammal pets, don't you? Take a look at the fur on this cat. Now, that's what I call furry. This is a Maine Coon cat. I must say, his fur puts my fur to shame. Most, but not all mammals are terrestrial. Terrestrial. Can you say terrestrial? That means they live on land. Can anyone think of an aquatic mammal, a mammal that lives in the water? I'll give you a hint. One of them is my friend Hilda. Yes. Hippopotamuses or hippopotami love the water, but they are actually semi-aquatic, meaning that they live partly in water and partly on land. Semi means part. Usually Hilda and other hippopotami stand in the water during the day to keep cool, and then they graze on land when evening falls. Through recent study and discussion based on the data of the special computer equipment you've heard about, taxonomists now think that the closest living relatives to hippopotami are whales, which are fully aquatic mammals. So here's another mammal that we're trying to think and classify, and taxonomists, when they learn more and more, have to change their ideas to match the data that they learn. Whales are marine mammals, meaning that they live in the ocean. Here's a whale. It's the largest animal on Earth. Blue whales can grow up to 100 feet long. That's a little longer than a basketball court. Its tongue alone weighs more than 3 tons. Remember, we talked about tons as 2,000 pounds, so 2,000 times 3 is 6,000 pounds. 2,000, 2,000, 2,000. Whew, that's a lot. Manatees and smaller whales, such as dolphins and porpoises, are also fully aquatic marine mammals, which means they stay in the water their entire lives. They never come out onto the land. They share saltwater seas with walruses and seals that are semi or partly aquatic animals that like to wander on shore, just like Hilda Hippo does. So, fully aquatic, fully aquatic, fully aquatic, fully aquatic, semi-aquatic, semi-aquatic. They come out to give birth to their young. These fully aquatic mammals give birth to their young in the water. Marine mammals are believed by many scientists to have evolved from land mammals, and they share many of the same characteristics. They are warm-blooded. Mammals are warm-blooded. They have a backbone. Mammals are vertebrates. They have fur or hair. All mammals have fur or hair, even though sometimes it's just the tiniest amount of hair. And they breathe oxygen from the air with lungs. Remember when we talked about how fish use gills to breathe in oxygen from the water? And how in amphibians, those gills develop into lungs, requiring amphibians to come to the surface of the water to breathe? Well, mammals also have lungs. All mammals have lungs and an underlying diaphragm, which is a muscle that assists them in breathing. When the diaphragm muscle tightens, it creates more space in the lung cavity. Remember, a cavity is a hole of space. And air is drawn into the lungs. All mammals, including whales and porpoises, dolphins and manatees, must come to the surface of the water now and then to breathe. All of these animals, the fully aquatic and the semi-aquatic mammals, have hair, are vertebrates, and breathe air with lungs. Some mammals also live in freshwater. I want to introduce you to another semi-aquatic relative of mine. This guy right here. He, like me, is classified as a rodent and he likes to swim. He is a capybara. Remember I told you incidentally that I, Rat and Burrow, am a good swimmer? I am very proud of that fact. The capybara can stay underwater for a full 5 minutes without coming up for air, a feat that helps him escape predators. Did you know that the capybara are one of the favorite foods of anacondas, like Anna? So they're not best of friends. Another semi-aquatic mammal, also a rodent, is a beaver. It makes its home near rivers along with river otters. One of the most unusual semi-aquatic mammals is the duck-billed platypus. It has a large rubbery bill like a duck in the bird group. It has a flat, broad tail like a beaver in the mammal group, and it has reptilian webbed feet. This odd, venomous creature lives in Australian waters. The duck-billed platypus is unusual for another reason. It is one of only a few mammals that lay eggs. Spiny anteaters, also natives of Australia and nearby islands, are the only other egg-laying mammal. All other mammals are live-bearing, which means they give birth to live babies. The young are nourished inside the mother's body, and most are fully developed when they're born, looking like smaller versions of their parents. But a few, like kangaroos and possums, are part of a group of mammals called marsupials. Marsupial babies are very underdeveloped when they're born, but they move directly to their mother's protective pouch to be nourished by her milk. All mammals, whether hatched from eggs or born live, feed on their mother's milk in their infancy. Let me read that again. All mammals, whether hatched from eggs or born alive, feed from their mother's milk in their infancy. As warm-blooded animals with high metabolic rates, mammals must eat more food than other animals their size in order to store enough energy to keep their bodies warm. So what do mammals eat? Think of all the different types of mammals that you've learned about today. And then think about your own diet. Do you eat the same foods as cats or dogs? Do elephants eat oranges? Do whales eat green beans? Mammals eat a variety of foods depending on where they live. Some mammals are carnivores. You know what a carnivore is, right? A meat eater. Others are herbivores. They eat only plants. But still others eat both plants and animals and are called omnivores. Most humans are omnivores. Remember learning that birds' beaks may provide a clue about what they eat? The same is true for mammals' mouths. Wide mouths and sharp-pointed teeth suggest that these mammals may be carnivores. A wide mouth with sharp teeth. Look at those sharp teeth. Wolves, whales, and bats are all carnivores. Herbivores, on the other hand, are more likely to have long jaws, long tongues, and flat teeth. Deer, sheep, monkeys, and pandas are all herbivores. Omnivorous mammals include bears, possums, chipmunks, and mice. Many humans are omnivores, but humans think about the choices they make about what to eat. Omnivores generally have sharper front teeth and flat teeth for chewing in the back of their mouths. Think about your mouth. Do you think humans were designed to eat meat only, or plants only, or both meat and plants? And why do you think that? Next time, we're going to look at the last of the slides, so be ready to review the 5 vertebrate groups from the animal kingdom: amphibians, mammals, birds, fish, and reptiles. All right, let's ask a few questions about these mammals. How would you describe the body covering of a mammal? Well, mammals are covered with hair or fur, or at least they have some hair and fur. How does the fur on a yak and other mammals help them? It keeps them warm. Okay, it can also provide camouflage. In the read aloud, you heard that most mammals are terrestrial. Remember, say that word again, terrestrial. What does that tell you about where they live? Being terrestrial means you live on land. Do all mammals live on land? No, there are marine mammals that live in the water. So you can have aquatic mammals and terrestrial mammals. What is the main organ that mammals use to breathe? What do mammals use to breathe? The main organ is the lungs. That's right. Think about all 5 vertebrate animal groups. Remember, we have that mnemonic that tells us about it. All my best friends represent vertebrates. Okay. What makes reproduction different for mammals compared to all the other 4 groups? Mammals don't lay eggs except for the pattern breakers, and most mammals give birth to live young. And what do mammals look like in infancy? Most mammals just look like smaller versions of their parents. What are the major characteristics of animals in the class of mammals? Mammals are warm-blooded. Mammals are vertebrates. Mammals have fur or hair, and they have mammary glands to produce milk. They give birth to live babies. So how can you compare and contrast mammals and birds? Well, how are they the same? They both are warm-blooded. They are both vertebrates. However, they are different because mammals have fur, birds have feathers. Mammals give birth to live babies. Birds hatch from eggs. Okay. Would you say that a duck-billed platypus and a spiny anteater are pattern breakers, and why would you say that? They do provide milk for their young. They are warm-blooded. They are vertebrates. But what is different about a duck-billed platypus and a spiny anteater that makes them a pattern breaker? They lay eggs. How odd is that? Pretty cool. See you next time.